All right, we're live, my man.
Hey, how's it going, sir?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan. I have not done this podcast for over 2 years, and it's funny because actually Alex was my last guest. We never posted that one because it
It
got a little
was no good.
it got a little crazy. We're not gonna lie. So we decided to be good. We're gonna be live today. So this is live for the world to see. Hopefully you guys can hear us and see us and all that good stuff. For those of you watching live for the podcast, they don't care because this will be recorded later. But anyway, super excited. Alex, tell us about yourself, man, and give you a little intro.
Hey, my name is Alex. I'm a real estate agent here in Arizona with W and Partners. So uh, it's been an interesting couple years, so to say. Haven't met Braden during the pandemic, so here we are. We're going to tell you about our fitness journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I know real estate, mortgage, obviously, we talk a lot about that. We met through a virtual happy hour that I had started.
I know. That was our first.
Yeah, it was our first meeting. It was a virtual, not even in person. And then, we finally met in person, and it's just been, history since then.
That's right.
Just a good dude. It's, I really feel that, like-minded people just find each other.
And we do. Yeah. I think, the biggest thing was like, if we would have said the word fitness in 2020, what would you have told me?
Dude, I'd have told you to fuck off. I really would have. And there's going to be a little language on this live one today, so we apologize. Not going to get crazy, but going to be some language because we're going to get real.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Because I remember like, hey, Braden, you going to work out? He's like, nah, man, I just don't have time.
Yeah, don't have time. And it's funny because, we'll get into it, but mindset is so much of just everything, right? I mean, like you said, 2 years ago, I could have cared less about working out and getting in shape. But if for me, at least, like I know we had talked about it at another actual happy hour. See, good things come from happy hours, guys. That's why we're doing this. So we were doing a happy hour. It was July of last year.
Yeah.
When we were all together, and you had already started your fitness journey. So
I was 40 days into it.
So let's get into that. So what kickstarted you wanting to get yourself back in shape, get healthy? What started it?
So around April of 2021, I did some lab work, and it was not good. It was scary enough to me, borderline pre-diabetic.
Okay.
All levels you can think of were off.
Oh man.
So the next month I decided to go, one of those almost like Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
I went with Noob.
That's right.
And it was one of those things, I started doing it, just like, what was the psychology behind all of this?
Yeah.
And back then I was heavy into the beer world.
Yep.
And then now I can't even touch it.
You were a pour tender, right?
I was a pour tender. So I used to pour beer.
Pouring beer for a living.
Pour beer and wine. And
you're bound to drink some when you're pouring it for others.
I started, having a passion for that.
Yeah.
So then, like something else coming, you got to try it. You got to try it. And then, those calories add up.
Indeed, they do.
No matter how much you work out.
Especially craft beer.
Correct. So no matter how much I was working out,
yeah,
I was doing myself an injustice by, drinking heavy beers and thinking it's going to breed any good results. So having done that, I think by the time we were at your house, we had dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we came down here and we just like, let's sync our watches.
That's right. It started with the Apple Watch. So for those unfamiliar, those that aren't anti-Apple people, the Apple Fitness Watch has these little rings on it. And that was the first goal that you had set. You're like, I just have a goal to close all my rings every day. So that means 30 minutes of exercise, hitting a certain amount of calories, and then standing up a certain amount of time during the day. Yeah. Right. And same thing. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll do that with you. Like, we'll and we synced up and we talked about it. And so this was in July, and it's funny because like I was kind of half-assed in at that point, right? I was like, I'll do this with you, but I didn't really have any major fitness goals.
Correct.
My big eye opener was actually about 2 weeks later. So we went to Great Wolf Lodge for my son's birthday. It was also break time. So, Great Wolf Lodge is an indoor swimming resort. and had my shirt off a lot of the times, and I was realizing I'm a little chunk on the chunky side, a little more than I thought I was. And then the biggest one was it was either my daughter or my son or somebody had taken a photo, and it was on Facebook, and it was kind of a side shot of me.
Yeah, we don't like those.
I was huge. Like, I looked at it, I was like, am I really that fat? Like, what the hell? Like, it really pissed me off. And we had kind of already talked about closing the rings. I'm like, all right, I'm doing this for real now. Like, I'm working out every day, no matter what. I'm closing all my rings. I am all in. And so that's what it started with me, was seeing that photo. And then from there,
yeah, because by the time I came to your house from May to July, I had lost a whole bunch of weight, because it was my buddy's
you were down like 15, 20 pounds.
It was my buddy's like 40th birthday, and I wanted to show off at the pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought I was looking good then, and then I was like,
nope.
You were nowhere close. You look better than where you were.
Right.
So that was like, I was more on taking pictures than it was on the scale.
Okay.
And for me,
the physique rather than the,
because I started to learn that the scale was not my friend, because like my composition would change.
For sure.
So just like, did I go from 2X to XL?
Boom.
Okay.
That's a win.
Now, I always say I can wear express large, which is, that's
a medium.
That's medium. But it was having those little bit of wins, and then sharing your journey. Like, that's me, and like, I would send you a pic like, bro, look, 60 days ago, 90 days, 180.
So now the amount of notifications we get on the watches, like, anytime you finish a workout or, you hit your goal, like we're getting notified 3-4 times a day with each other. And I remember in the beginning, like you can respond on the watch, and we were doing it all the time, because we're like cheering each other on and like, oh, great job, bro, no matter what it was.
But I think now
we don't do it anymore, because
I think we are past.
We don't need it. Yeah. Like before,
we just like, now just like, oh, I know you better be doing that.
Absolutely.
But I also know if I don't get it for a couple of days,
I'm checking on you. Then we're checking in, right? And you are really good at that. So we skipped over something I think really important, like that power of one, accountability, which is, and it started small. Like, it was just me and you, my wife as well, and she was actually getting there up until we had that unfortunate incident in Costa Rica where she almost died. So she gets an out. But for us, and even during that time, like, I was so committed that, when my wife was in the hospital, in the ICU in a foreign country, I was making sure I was hitting that hotel gym every day.
And I called you, and I was like, how are you doing? He's like, it's the only thing that was keeping me going right now.
It was
actually these rings.
Correct. Yeah. It was the only thing that could keep my mind off of what was happening. And so from the Noom app, it talks a lot about the psychology of, changing your mindset and changing your brain and creating habits. And I think that was actually a pretty catalyst moment for me, because now I was taking, it turned into a good thing. It made working out something positive, because it was a positive release for me. And so it was interesting kind of how your brain can change those things. Right.
And I'm a big believer of, like, no matter what you have going on, keep moving.
Keep it moving.
Because, you get sick, you stop moving, you think that's going to make you feel better, but actually getting more active pushes it out a lot quicker in a lot of things, not with everything, but
for sure.
Sometimes, like, moving is better than sitting idle.
And even the Noom app shared that. It's like, just get moving. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you can watch TV and walk on a treadmill, or walk in circles, or, dance around in the kitchen,
or fitness gaming, right?
Or fitness gaming. Yeah, I use that, man. Hey, every Sunday I was like,
mind and body.
I didn't want to work out on a Sunday, but I have the Oculus. I was like, oh, we'll do something that gets me moving. So it counts.
So a lot of people thought, like, with closing the rings, like, I'm going to be in the gym every day. I did do that for 150 days.
Good for you, man.
Like, I went past my own version of 75.
Right. Yeah, you were doing 2-a-days for a while there.
For 150
days. Damn, bro.
Before I decided, like, you can cut this out a little bit.
Right.
But then I realized, like, kind of like the shirts we're wearing right now, had to earn my booze. Right.
Absolutely.
And it's a great concept.
It is.
It's a lifestyle now that don't drink just to drink, or don't eat just to eat. You gotta earn these things.
You gotta have purpose.
Like, if I want to go have a nice dinner on a Friday, it's not just I'm gonna just go have the nice dinner. I want to know, like, I did everything I was supposed to do this week. It's a reward.
You earn that shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of times when you start setting up goals for yourself of where you want to attain, not
Yeah.
just the physical goal, but where do I want to be?
Correct.
So when I started focusing on me, meaning my fitness, my health,
Yeah.
everything else came around.
It's
You know,
weird
the
how that
money
happens,
came
right?
around,
Yeah.
the production, and I think you just glow different.
You do.
Like people just, there's something different about
Right.
you, and it's just like, oh, me taking care of me looks different.
Well, it's that self-care, right? So physical is a big part of it. You got to take care of your physical body, but there's so much that happens mentally when that happens that like it really does just change it. And the other portion of, setting those goals is the trackability of it. Like, we were tracking each other. So we set a goal, it's close the rings every day, no matter what. And then, we each had our own little mini goals inside of that. You did your 150 days of working out twice a day. I did the 75 hard, which is a, different challenge, but very similar as far as like just discipline, like day in, day out. And there's days that it sucks. Trust me. There's days when I woke up and I didn't want to work out, but you never feel bad after a workout.
I think even during that 150 days, there'd be days that I would drink, with my neighbor or just hanging out.
Sure.
And they'll, call me the next morning, like, what are you doing? I'm in the gym. You went to the gym? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
I said discipline outweighs motivation.
Correct.
I'm not motivated, but the discipline in me,
absolutely,
because it's something that I pride myself in now. I was like, I don't have to have the motivation to be disciplined.
Correct.
Because that, just, keeping that consistency is important.
It is. Consistency is everything. And, and so that was one of my favorite takeaways from the 75 hard. So one of the challenges was that you had to read 10 pages of a book every single day. And honestly, I've never read. It's one of those things I didn't have time for, just like I didn't have time for working out. Right.
Yeah.
And before I get into that, the whole don't have time for something is bullshit. You make time for what you want to make time for. Correct. There's always time for the things that you want. But with the reading, not being forced to do it, in these challenges, it really opened my love up for how much I love to read. Like I forgot how much I love to read, and I learned so much because I was reading, different motivational books, financial books, and just the thoughts that you get. It just pumps you up. I can't explain it. Like it's.
And I think it's just realizing you didn't like it because you didn't put any effort into it.
I didn't do it. Right.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are like, I don't like working out. Okay. Sure. Well, hire somebody that can teach you. I said there's teachers
or maybe you're not doing it right.
Correct. Yeah. Because I've watched people at the gym, they'll start off and you're just like, well, this guy's in here every day, but he's not getting anywhere.
Right.
And then they finally hired a personal trainer. It might take them 6 months, but then you start seeing a different movement because now they're not pushing their body to a different limit.
100%.
You don't always do that when you're on your own.
Right.
So me lately, going to the gym is great, but then adding HIIT training to it has definitely speed up some of the latter part of the weight that I've been wanting to lose.
And I think that's such an important thing too. Like you can only go so far on your own as an individual. Like there's some incredible people out there. Like, I mean, you're an incredible person. Like human beings are pretty fantastic by themselves, but we all need help in multiple areas of our lives. And it doesn't hurt to ask for help. And in fact, it you got to humble yourself sometimes and realize that there is someone that's done it. You learn from that person. So I know for me with working out, like I was looking at, personal trainers and different apps to help me learn, the science of it and the proper way to work out and, reaching out to people that are successful at it. And that's been a huge help for me. Nutritionists as well. Like, those types of things help get you to a new level that you didn't even know you were capable of.
And that was something I follow this guy on Instagram called Dad Bod Destroyer.
Nice. I didn't know that one. I'm gonna have to add that one.
But the craziest thing, he had 2 challenges. So I did 16 weeks with him.
Okay.
And
it's all virtual on Instagram.
Just virtual. And the crazy thing about doing it was the actual process was follow a meal plan, do your workouts. And I think for the longest I had got the working out part right.
Okay.
But then started really looking at how to eat and then just seeing inches fall off.
Oh man.
Like I went to go pick up some shirts from February to March. Yeah. And I had to leave them there because I lost some more inches. I'm like, oh,
isn't that so great? It like having to purchase new clothes because they are too large for you is something I hadn't experienced ever, because I've been at, like, honestly, I've been a pretty skinny dude most of my life, and then it just, life and bad habits and just slow progression, it slowly happens. Like,
It's funny, like I'm now going back to clothes that I wore 4 years ago.
same here.
And I spent a lot of money at Express, so
Yeah.
I used to give those shirts away. And then I would see them on, people like, that's a nice shirt. Oh, that was
that's
too.
mine. Yeah.
And then I would go to my friend's house. I'm like, oh, so you're wearing
Yeah.
all my clothes? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to give away another batch of clothes that I haven't touched. And then I magically started fitting into them. I was like,
Love
look
it.
at that.
Oh, that's right. There was a suit, or was it your wedding suit, or your?
It was my engagement.
Your engagement suit. Yeah.
So I had lost enough weight to get into that.
Hell yeah.
So by the time we had our anniversary in February, we took those pictures. I was already down even more inches.
See?
So I went to the same tailor. She was like, you've actually shrink from, and that
the engagement
was the September shoot.
Okay.
So we kind of recreated that. And then I went back in February when we did our anniversary shoot.
Yeah.
And she's like, you've lost even more weight.
and let's talk about how encouraging that is. Like, we all love to be complimented.
Yeah.
But like, especially when you're busting your ass day in, day out. And like, one thing I did enjoy during the 75 hard was you have to take a picture of yourself every day. And I've never done that, but like going back from day one, which I had already lost a pretty decent amount of weight before I even started, to, the end of day 75, to see the results side by side, I was like, holy shit. Like, I did not realize I lost that much.
And that's why I was telling you about the pictures.
Yeah.
It is so much more important than the scale.
I agree.
Because your body composition is going to change, as you learn better workouts, as you're eating, like, and you start learning that, I do have to eat to lose weight, not just
I eat
starve.
I eat more calories now
Yeah.
than I did before. Like, we were talking about that. Like, we went out to eat the other day after 75 hard. I got to have a nice meal, a nice cheap meal, because I wasn't allowed to have any of those. And I ate the entire thing, which normally, like back when I was bigger, I could eat maybe a fourth or half of my plate at a restaurant because they were such massive portions. But now that I'm working out, I'm moving, and I look at my watch, I'm burning on average, 1,200 calories a day in some cases. So you have to take in more in order to compensate for that. Whereas, you sit on your ass all day in front of a computer or the TV, you burn like 200 calories. Like, that's why you can't eat as much and you still get fat.
So my workouts during the week now, like Monday, Tuesday, it's kind of like my flex days.
Okay.
But like Wednesday through Friday now are 2-a-days.
Okay. See, you're still
like
doing it.
And I do that so I can enjoy my weekend with the family.
I love it.
So like, if I want to work out, I can.
Yeah.
And then if I don't, at the same time, I don't feel bad. I can just go run in the backyard with the kids
for
30 minutes, and I check off that box. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna check the live stream here.
So it's been cool to kind of just been able to just see the difference.
No, for sure, man. I get that big time. It's like, all right, we're looking good. Okay. So it's that tracking, the day in, the day out, like all those little things that just and you have to plan so much more in advance. Like, so during the 75 hard, there were a few times when we were out of town or we were traveling. Like, you have to make sure, like, I remember there was one day I had a conference out in Phoenix and it was all day. And so I had to get my ass up at 3:30 in the morning so I could get that first workout in and make sure I had and make sure I'm drinking my gallon of water, doing all my stuff. And then when I get home, do my second workout. Like, you have to be aware of your day every single day. And so there's like no wasted time when you do that, and you just reach new potentials. It's really cool.
And I think because you also have to be so intentional about every little thing that you do.
You do. You have to.
And I always tell people, I said, I'm a person, and you only gonna cancel me twice, and then we'll see when we can win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
two strikes, three strikes. Like, it's just.
And then my policy with that is like, time is money,
right?
And I could have offered somebody else that time. And
like you said, it's it comes down to, you make time for what you want to make time
correct.
For. So if someone cancels on you twice, they clearly don't care that much about you. And I get life happens.
And I get that. Like,
but it's just like a couple of times, but not consistently.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, also reconfirm the day before.
For sure, yeah. There's we reconfirm the day before, shit like that. We have to. You have
It's
to
the
track it.
reconfirming and then the no show.
For
You're
sure,
just
man.
like, okay, like I clearly asked you. There's a way out.
Yeah, exactly.
For a reason. Which I know life will happen.
It does.
Like I have grace for that, but at the same time, I kind of don't. So
no, for sure. But man, I mean, putting in that work, it does. It makes the rewards feel just 10 times better. Like you feel like you deserve things a little bit more. Like, and Noom teaches that as far as like, okay, yeah, there's days that are tough, but you also have to give in to that. What do they call it? They call it the elephant in Noom, right?
Yeah.
Your mind has this, the elephant and the rider. The rider is the guy that's in control, that's level-headed, and then you have your elephant where. Have you ever just sat in front of a TV and ate an entire bag of chips without even realizing you did it? Like shit like that. Like you just forget that you have these urges inside of you. And what Noom teaches is that it's okay to give in to those just in moderation and in planning and not make it a habit, right?
And I knew when you were doing 75 hard, I told you I was not going to see you the whole time.
Right, yeah, because we knew.
I said I will influence you.
You realize we're like 20 minutes in this. We haven't even poured our drinks yet.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm gonna pour them right now because we both got these shirts on. Mine says whiskey, earn it. His says earn your booze.
Yeah.
It's a company out here, local in Arizona. You know the owner, right?
Yeah. Justin Cross is doing amazing work.
He's a good dude.
I spent some quality.
I haven't met him yet.
I spent some quality time with him. The dude is definitely going to change how people drink.
For sure.
I think a lot of times, like a lot of these big brands, they sell the alcohol, but also their people are not actively promoting a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
So helping, brands change that image of like, you can still do that.
Well, it is. I think
but go out there and work.
Yeah. The overall view of it is that alcohol is an unhealthy thing, but it's like, same thing. If you have it in moderation, just there's no such thing as bad food unless it's spoiled, right? If it's rotten or something, that's bad.
Correct.
Food. But food in general, like cheesecake is not bad. Cheesecake doesn't make you fat. Brownies, whiskey, whatever it is, none of that's bad for you.
And then the concept now,
have the right amount.
He's going behind is earn it all.
There you go.
Like no matter what it is, maybe alcohol is not your thing.
Sure, yeah.
But you like donuts.
There you
go.
You
like sushi,
right?
Go earn it.
Earn that, absolutely. And
and
when you earn it, it feels 10 times
totally
better.
different. Yeah, especially when you look at, you're like,
oh man,
look how far I've come.
Right. And when you see that progress, it makes you want to keep going.
Yeah.
And encouraging others, and especially it's funner when you have someone that you're doing it with, because it's like, man, like you're still going, I'm still going, like, and it's not like we're done. It's a never-ending journey, which to some people sounds daunting, but to me that's exciting because it's like we never know when it's gonna, like, we're just gonna constantly find new, better versions of ourselves.
So days that I would feel where I was like feeling down, like I'm not getting anywhere, I would just go compare it to 30 days ago.
Smart.
And I'll be like, what are you complaining about?
Right. Yeah.
Like you're just looking at, you probably ate some stuff that made you bloated. So you feel,
you feel gross.
And then you realize I don't like feeling like this. So maybe I'll limit these times that, how I eat. Cause sometimes if you go more than 2 days.
Oh yeah. You feel
not eating normal. Like,
yeah,
I don't eat a lot of greasy food.
Yeah. It takes a toll on you.
The minute that I do, my body's just like, okay, so what are you doing?
Yeah.
And why are you doing this to us? And this
is, it's a shock to the system.
It's like putting unleaded in a premium.
Right. Engine, it is going to run.
And then expect it to, it's going to run, but just not good.
It's going to be rough. Yeah. Exactly.
So like being able to like, at this point in my life, started to realize, at 37 years old, like you're just now getting it. Like
it's never too late to learn lessons, man.
Yeah,
like,
but in your 20s,
oh yeah,
weight gain was that.
Who cares? Yeah, I could eat whatever I want in my 20s. Like, but yeah, kids happen, family happen, busy work life. Like, I remember there was a time, especially in these last couple of years with interest rates and the way the mortgage market's been. Like, I don't think I've ever been as busy as I have been in the last 2 years. And I created a lot of bad habits. Like I remember at one point I was drinking every goddamn day. Like it was a habit. Like I come home.
I might have been with you.
Yeah, poured two. I mean, and not just like, not just like a little drink, like 2 to 3 whiskeys until you're falling asleep. And so you're consistently hungover. You feel gross all the time. Like
And it was easy because you didn't have to leave the house.
Right. Yeah, right. And there was no accountability because you didn't have to see anybody.
And
so.
then virtual happy hours became a thing. You know,
Oh,
I don't know
man.
why we made it a thing, but
I don't know.
But you know, I think because we still had the need to feel a community.
Right. I think we need human connection, just as humans. Like it. A lot of people got depressed during that time frame. Like I know I did. Like I had some rough times.
And that's one thing I want to touch on is as an industry.
Yeah.
How do we promote, you know, like fitness?
Right.
You know, some people are totally into it, and then some people just like, well, I got the money, I don't need to be fit.
There you go.
But I always believe health is wealth.
I agree.
You know, because you can be fat and happy.
Yeah.
But then, you know, we've known with the pandemic, people our age, because they didn't take care of their health, that was just a tack on.
Oh yeah.
To it.
And that'll add up, and it'll, I mean, that type of stuff can crush you. Like,
yeah.
Really
so
can.
I think the narrative is like, we all need a partner, you know, like in business,
right?
You know, that's going to hold us accountable, not just with our business goals, but our fitness goals. Like, hey man, how are you doing?
Well, fitness, and I think even mental health too. I know you're a big advocate for men's mental health. Just in general. What's your charity or your 501c
501c3
501c, there it is.
So I'm starting the Warrior Spirit Foundation, and that to me came from years of helping men with trauma.
Okay.
That came from me actually when I got out the Marine Corps. I went into ministry for a little while.
That's right.
And in that I started helping Marines outside of the Marine Corps. Like I became a mentor to them.
Yeah.
Not just at church, but just like in life.
And that's such a cool thing, man.
You know, so when they tell me, well, I'm locked out for promotions, I'm like, no, if you continue doing your job,
right,
they'll create a space for you.
Right.
Even if it's not there right now. So being able to help people with that. And then when I got to Phoenix, started working at the pawn shop. And now when I go into my old pawn shops, all the people who I have trained are now managers.
That's so cool, man.
You know, so it's like seeing my legacy like years later, being like, hey, I poured into these men and here they are growing.
Yeah.
They're married now. And I get messages from the spouses too, like, hey, thanks for spending time with him. He needed that.
That's so cool.
You know, so it's just like being on both sides of it.
Yeah.
You know, having been divorced and didn't have help.
Sure.
And then being able to know what that looks like and be like, hey, I don't want you to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
So let me help you. So the goal of the foundation is for each one to have one.
Right.
So it's not going to just be me.
Right.
I'm going to need.
You're promoting, you're living it, but you're showing other people that they need to do the same.
I'm going to need a group of men that's going to be like, hey, I need some
help.
I need some LTs in the game that's going to spearhead, you know, Queen Creek. And there's a Mesa division and people that can kind of like wherever you are in your city.
Yeah.
It's somebody close to home that like, hey, bro, can I stop by real quick?
And I think that's what true accountability is, right? Like you've got some on yourself, but if you can elevate somebody else's life, and they in turn elevate their own life, and then they turn it around and elevate someone else's, like it's such a massive domino explosive effect. And like I've seen it just with us and the few people that we've met, like from where we were that 2 years ago to that happy hour to now, not just physically, but mentally, in business, in our families. Like I can tell you so many good things have happened, and it all starts with, you know, our first of all, that self-realization, and then second, the accountability of pushing others to get, you know, to get better.
I think one thing we touched on was last time we did this was just like, you're not used to people checking in on you.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll be like, hey, how you doing today?
Right. And it was weird for me. Like I appreciate it so much more now, but it was like, I've always been kind of I've been a super independent person my entire life. Like just by choice. Like I don't ever, you know, blame it, my circumstances or anything. Like I like to just do things on my own. I've always been that way. But like having you reach out, it was like, holy shit, this guy like really cares. Like, and it really was helpful, even though in my head it was something I didn't think I needed. Yeah. I realized I needed it more than I knew I did.
And then it was just like with the fitness, I didn't tell you had to work out.
No, you never did.
Yeah. Nope. I was just like, hey, we got to change some things. Right. And I just started doing it.
Right.
And then just me doing it, you know,
how many days of consecutive rings are you at today?
283.
283. I'm at 242. So I'm just 41 days behind you.
Yeah. So it's cool that just closing the rings and you just like, oh, this dude's not stopping.
That's how it started.
And then you jumped on, and then here we are. You know, we're just 40 days apart.
Right.
But it's just like it's a lifetime worth of change.
Huge
right
difference,
now.
dude. It's wild seeing you. Well, I haven't seen you in the past 2.5 months. So I mean, it's like your whole physique has changed. Like it's
different to me.
It's wild, man. Like,
you know, because like I look, I'm just like, and then my wife, she's like, "Oh, so you feeling yourself?" I say, you know, a little skinny now.
You get a little extra confident, a little extra swag. Like no, it is, and I think that in turn helps. Like I know for me, like after finishing 75 hard, like it was so time consuming, and there was tough days. I mean, especially like the no alcohol for 75 days, being told you can't do something sometimes
makes you want to do it.
It
more.
makes you want it more. And then so I really thought as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna go right back to you know just drinking as much as I can. I don't really. I drank the day after 75 hard. I had a great day. I had a few cocktails. I'm not gonna lie, but I haven't had any since because like it's like I guess I don't really need it right now. Like I'll just I got work tomorrow, or it's not an automatic like the way that it used to be.
And then part of my whole earn it mentality is
earn it.
I don't drink when I'm frustrated anymore.
Smart.
And the reason for that is I don't want it to be a way to not talk about whatever's bothering you.
Right.
So the rule in our house now is, well, you got to talk about it.
Talk about it. Yeah.
which is a lot easier said than done because you're already frustrated. You want a way out.
Yeah.
And then when you like are forced to like calm down and like rationalize like what's actually happening.
Right.
You're just like, you know what? It's not as bad.
It's not as bad as you might think, right? And that's the thing. Sometimes you just like we build things up in our head sometimes to where that we feel like, it's way worse in our own minds than when we actually talk about it. You confide in somebody, and everybody needs somebody like that. And I know you're a huge advocate. If you don't have someone, talk to one of us. Like we are the least judgmental people in the world. Trust me. Like we've all been through some shit.
For me today, like me being that I go to a lot of people.
Yeah.
People just like, well, so who's your person?
Exactly.
I said, I have to build people strong enough to
to do it, to go
for me to. I said, I have to extend that license to you.
There you go.
Once you've made it past, like, well, we make sure we deal with your stuff,
mm-hmm.
and then once they get to a healthier,
because you do such a good job of it. Like I remember I tried a few times, like in like there was a few times I didn't hear from him for a few days. I'd reach in, and I always need to do a better job at it, but. Yeah, I got it because I learned from the best. So,
so that's what I'm really trying to create to where, like, I call it bro time because it can go a long way.
It can,
like it could be like, hey, bro, I'm not feeling myself this week.
Right.
Let's set up some coffee time.
There you go.
An hour could save somebody's life.
It really can. Yeah.
Like,
and you never know what personal battles people are dealing with. Like,
and I think for me, like just being able to sometimes just take space for somebody.
Yeah.
Not provide solutions.
Just and I
kind of something I do now is like, do you want me to do something about this or you want me to listen?
Right. Well, because not everybody needs a solution. They just want to be heard or validated.
Correct.
And that's because I think as men, we like to fix things, right? If there's a problem, we fix it. Like that's just something that we do. So to take a step back and realize not everything needs to be fixing. We just have to listen sometimes.
And the way I've explained to somebody today was, I'm like, you can't tell people they need to do anything.
No.
I said,
because what told that?
I said, what automatically do you go into the defense and you want to do other things because somebody just told you can't or you shouldn't?
Yes.
I said, the other word you should use is, there's a better way to do this.
Right. Or can I show you a better way
to do this?
Yeah.
Because you ask for permission, even in helping somebody, until you're granted permission, stop giving solutions.
Exactly. Well, and the way you present things too makes all the difference. Like you said, like if I come to you like, oh, bro, don't do that, rather than, oh, hey, can I show you a better way to do that?
Yeah, correct.
It's the same thing, but very different.
I read a book recently that says what to say.
What? Okay. Yeah, I've seen that book actually. I haven't read it yet, but
it's a very short 123 page read.
Yeah.
That really, if you just change your words, you can appeal to people so much more different.
Absolutely.
And it's a way to people forget that sales is still an emotional transaction.
100%. It's
And
very
people like,
emotional.
like maybe in some of the commercial side,
Especially real estate. Like
they can take out
very personal.
They can take out the personal aspect because
Yeah.
it's just like they're looking at numbers on paper. But
Right.
when you're actual in real estate, by the time I'm done with you, we probably went through like a whole therapy session on like,
right.
I've never spent this much money. This is
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you got this.
Well, it's all those memes, right? Of like the beginning of a transaction compared to the end. Oh, that's real. Like
I said, by the
you
end,
get to know people.
By the end, we family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like we know, and it was just like, I got you.
Right.
Because if you do it right at the end of the transaction, it doesn't end there.
Correct.
They will call you for you to direct them in any way. But do you know somebody?
And that's
because you've helped them with so much that they're now willing to like, do you have somebody that can help me here? Oh, you know what? I might.
Right. I went to a conference a few weeks ago, and Todd Duncan was the main speaker there, and he talks about so he's written tons of books. He's New York Times bestseller, super cool guy. I got to spend some time afterwards, chatting with him. But he talks about high trust selling and relationship selling, and how you're going to be more successful in life the deeper you make your relationships with the right people, rather than just taking every single transaction that comes your way. You're going to have more time in your life, better time, and actually make more money at the same time if you surround yourself with the right people and you and you do the right things to them as well. So it talks about you have to earn people's trust. You can't just ask for it out the gates. No. You got to earn it. Just like we're earning our booze, through exercise, you have to earn people's trust and you have to earn those relationships. And it was such a big like, holy shit, like that's how life is in general. Like,
and my wife reminds me a lot of that sometimes when she tells me, like I'll be having a day of just like, I was like, it must be meltdown Tuesday because everybody's calling me.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's just like phone call after phone call. And she's like, no, they would have called you because they know you're somebody that they can trust.
There you go.
And I was like, well, I guess it's a different way to look at it.
Mindset, man. Yeah.
But it's cool to be able to see like, oh yeah, but I also remind myself I can't be everybody's one person.
Correct.
So I like, it's important for me to build others to do the same thing that I do.
Exactly. Right. I was going to say if you can't duplicate, that's the best way to phrase it. Right. Yeah. Like I realized that it was a big eye opener for me for what went down in Costa Rica. I was like, I can't do everything on my own all the time. I have to create other versions of myself to do additional things. And that changed everything. I was like, holy shit, I gotta, and it really just clarified like, business planning, family planning, like financially, personally, like it just, I've never had my head so clear. And I think a lot of it had to do with, taking the right steps to get up to that point with, being in a good mental headspace with, starting my fitness journey already. Like you have to take care of yourself, invest in yourself before you can invest in others.
I think you're looking back now, like I'm thankful that both of you at the time
for sure
took the steps.
Yeah.
Because it could have been a different outcome.
It could have been a very different outcome. And I know I touched on it a little bit on a separate video that we did, but it really was one of those life-changing moments. Like, and it could have gone the other way. Yeah. It could have been really bad, but I'm just so thankful. And it also validated, that we did have the right people in our lives. Like, I mean, you reached out. I had so many people.
Because for me, I was used to seeing you every day.
Yeah.
Like literally we would talk like every day.
Right.
I'm like, I haven't heard from Braden in a week.
And to be fair, I was on vacation, but I ghosted everybody. Like we stopped posting pictures. Like, and that's when people realized like, oh, something must be wrong. Like,
no, it's because like, I knew you were supposed to be back.
Right.
That like, no, he said he was coming back. And I'm like, hey, how we doing? No, I picked up the phone.
Oh, that's right. You called me. You were one of the first ones to call me.
I called rather than text. I'm like, no,
that's right.
I said, I need to hear his voice. And then when I heard your voice, I was like,
it was a rough day, bro.
It was rough. He's like, but I'm still closing my rings. I was like, oh, well, forget the ring.
Yeah, you're like, who cares about that? I'm like, no, I need my rings right now.
But, even in that moment, he still was wanting to hold himself accountable, which is totally different. Most people just like shut down everything. And you like, I have to keep on going for my kids.
That was it.
Yeah. And that, is just like when you start having to live those type of things, you're like, oh, I didn't know I had this type of strength to even do any of this. And
it's true.
you're here to talk about it today. Look at you today, man.
I'm feeling good, dude. It's like I said, I don't think I've been in this sort of shape. I don't even think I was in this sort of shape in high school, even. But it's just
it looks good on you, man.
And it's cool. Like, you know, it's nice to get the compliments, and I appreciate. You know, I have lots of people that, you know, reach out and say, you know, oh, you're doing good, or what are you doing? But like, it starts with just now. It's just habit. Like I just like even after 75 hard, like they were like, "Oh, you're still gonna work out? You're still gonna." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've created these habits."
I've seen both sides of it.
Right? Yeah,
I've seen people who went really hard,
yeah,
and they've continued, and then people that they hit that and then they went right back.
Right
I'm
back.
like, and that was always my fear for some people. I'm like, okay, now that you've done it for 75, did you learn enough to maintain, not just not doing 2 workouts,
right?
Enough for you to continue to work out in a way that makes sense to you.
Right.
Like for me now, I know like Monday, Tuesdays, if I have to drive to Phoenix, or it's typically my admin day, I can try to go to the gym at the regular time, or I'll go to the gym right before I pick up the kids.
Okay.
Because I know it's something I have to do.
Right. Yeah.
So like by 3,
you tweak the schedule a little bit, right?
The day, like, and if I have to go in at 6, I will.
Right. And that's the nice thing, like, of the flexibility rather than doing like a hardcore challenge. Like, I do think the hardcore challenges are nice because they create those habits.
Yeah.
But the other time is like, now that I've created some of those habits, I'm keeping up with a lot of them, but there's more flexibility because I don't have a set challenge. So like, for example, like I work out 7 days a week, but I have a split on one day where I don't lift weights. It's supposed to be a rest day, and I just do cardio.
Correct.
So on the 75 hard, I had to do minimum 45 minutes. 45 minutes on the Peloton sucks. Like, it is a lot. So like,
I can only imagine.
So, and it was actually today's my Peloton day. And I just did 30 minutes because I'm like, I just got to close my ring now. I don't have to worry about that 45. And so it's a small change. Like, I'm working out less time, but I still feel great. And it was something I felt was necessary.
Yeah. You know, like for me, I started realizing that don't let the fitness part of you take away the fun out of you.
That too.
Because, you know, it could happen really quick on those challenges because you're so focused.
It was so hard on my wife. Like, she's like, "I'm never going to see you," and I'm just like, because I'm going to put the kids to bed. Well, I got to go on my, you know, my afternoon or my, you know, evening jog now. And she's like, "Ugh." Like,
and then
we had a toll on the family.
We had a concept thing of just like, we need to interview the spouses after 75 days
for sure. Yeah,
and then like you might not want to hear what they have to say.
Oh, I'm sure. So another one of my accountability partners that I did 75 hard with was my area manager, Chris Medine. We did it together. The original goal was we were trying to finish it right before our President's Club trip.
Okay.
Or it's Chairman's Lead is what we call it at Lone Depot, because we were going to Hawaii. So we're going to be on the beach. We better get in good shape. So we wanted to be done right before that. Long story short, it got moved from Hawaii to Miami a month later. So we haven't done our trip yet, but we're still doing the same types of things. We, you know, and we had little check-ins. Like I remember there was a day when he called me and he's like, "Fuck, bro, I don't want to do this anymore." Like, and it was like 2 weeks in. I'm like, "No, dude, we got this." And then I had one of those days where I'm like, I don't think I can do this today. No, keep it. So we kept each other going on our low points.
And that's why it's important. Like when you do have those challenges. Yeah. Because we've tried, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then we start with 3, and it always ends up with me and you.
Well, and I think I think it's important to know your limitations, right? So my parents actually were doing the 75 hard challenge back in, it was right after I just started closing my rings. So it was right before the holidays because they wanted to, you know, get it all done right before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And so it was 75 days before Thanksgiving. They asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was like, no. I was like, I have no desire to do that right now because I'm barely going with just closing my rings every day. If I have to do something like that, I know it will break me. And so I think it's important to know what your limitations are. Because then once I got past that, and when my boss presented it to me, I was like, you know what, I am ready for it. Let's do this. Like, and I really was, because obviously I did it. I finished, and you know, I'm glad I did it, but I don't want to do it again.
I don't know about 75 days, no whiskey, bro.
No, I need my whiskey. Speaking of which, let's pour ourselves a glass and wrap this thing up. Sound good?
Sounds good, brother.
All right, so we are drinking the Blantons today. I busted out the good stuff because we talked about it before even 75 hard. We're like, oh, when this is all done, we're going to pour ourselves a Blanton together. So
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, my man. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Yeah, we're going to start doing this every single week, the happy hour with HatchMan. So if you or anyone you know would like to be on the show, just hit me up.
Sounds
Later.
good. Later.